Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Questing the Unknown. So, questing the unknown is a metaphor. It's an idea. It's a way of living and experiencing the world. It's an idea that, for me, allows me to open up to what seems to be the impossible, which is also the possible. So that sounds a little bit convoluted because it is. Words are like this sometimes, right? So words aren't necessarily the thing. The message isn't the thing. But these are the bridges that we use to get into the ideas that help us open up our perspective, help us see a little bit more, help us understand and contemplate our own state of being and our own being in the world. So it's not necessarily something that's wooey or esoteric. It's just a very real experience that I don't know what is going to happen next. I don't know what words are going to come from my mind next or where they're coming from. I don't know when I walk out of the place that I'm in right now in the studio that I'm in. I don't know when I walk out the door who I might run into or what experience I might have. All of life is like this, but we, in some sense, pretend that it's not. So we have this natural desire to control, and there are some things we can't control, but most everything else we can't. So, what is it that we can control? We can control the fact that I know that I'm going to sit down and do some writing later, but I don't know what I'm going to write necessarily. And even if I did know what I would write or the idea I have around it, I don't necessarily know how that's going to flow from me. So when we can live in this place of uncertainty, when we can, this is like John Keats says, negative capabilities, right? So this is that idea of being able to be at peace with the unknown, with the uncertainties of life. But when we can really explore that and move into that and let that be our state of being and the way we play in the world, it takes us and liberates us in a way so we're no longer bound by our own fears or our own anxieties toward the future. So this is not the actual part of questing the unknown, but it's a big part of it for me. So recognizing and seeing from our own experience, this has to be totally experiential for you. So recognizing and seeing from our own experience that everything is an unknown for us. That I could take you today, for example. I had so many conversations with people that I had no idea I was going to have conversations with, just because that's the nature of reality. I had no idea, actually, that I was going to be sitting in front of the camera today having this conversation with you and sharing this moment with you. So I knew I wanted to do it. I had no idea what it was going to be like necessarily, where I was going to do it, what the setup was going to be. And then it is just so. And this is how it all comes. So I know I'm reiterating a point, but it's on purpose. And when we can take ourselves to that place of allowing ourselves to play in the world without holding on and grasping and strangling things, it becomes a much more beautiful experience to have. So I'm going to leave that aspect of questing the unknown at that place. But the other part of it for me is to take you on a journey of actually going into the world of what is actually possible for us and unraveling and unwrapping that and seeing what that is and what that looks like. So for me, I'm fulfilling a pure curiosity in some way that I look at life as, for me, it's a journey, right? So it's a journey of awakening. So whatever that might be. For me, it's having more presence and the ability to attend to what I want to and to be able to experience the beauty and nuances in life that exist, that I get to see all the time, the synchronicities, the flow, and the madness, really, because there's a lot of chaos and a lot of sort of comic pain, if you will. So there's an absurdity to all of it, which I totally embrace and love. But it's also like being able to go into that place and explore what is unknown. And I mean that in a real sense, like what can you do with your mind? What can you do with your body? What can you create that you haven't created yet? What are the things that you can do that others say is impossible? And what is it like actually to live from that place where you can say to yourself, this is what I want, this is what I want to experience, this is what I want to create, and then go about creating that, or just sitting back and watching it all unfold, but being so aware and having that level of liberation for yourself that you can choose to either participate or to witness, or there's another stage to this, not a stage, I don't want to create a separation in that regard, but there's another aspect to this of being lived. And then you get that sensation where you are actually being lived. And somehow in all of that, you have this point of awareness where you get to play and watch and participate as if you're in the living or in the waking dream, rather. It's really a strange sensation, but it's a lot of fun. So all of these things meld together. These are all part of our human experience. So questing the unknown is going into those places. It's taking that all apart, seeing it, exploring it, and using it as sort of a contemplative practice. You can call it a pointing out instructions. the idea that we're just pointing to other things, other possibilities. So we are literally like unveiling our own being and identity. It seems as if we're recreating ourselves often. And I happen to do this. I like to I go and I flow and I go on these little tangents. And this is sort of one, but not quite. I take this idea of disidentifying to find our own identity. So if we look at like this, we can create ourselves. We can create the way we are in the world by using certain practices, mindfulness practices, having a certain desire. Like I was once like this, and now I seem to be like this. I don't know where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be like, but I seem to be able to design it in some kind of way. But at the same time, there seems to be an identity that exists within, something that I'm trying to get to know more and more of, something I'm trying to go deeper and deeper into, something as if I'm trying to get to know myself or myself that is everything else. But there are these like two places we play. So I like to disidentify. So I play with identity and what it means to be me. So what it means to be you, how you identify, what stories you hold on to that you have created and constructed your reality and self out of. And then also in that exploration, we disidentify from all of that so we can get to the root and identify and see who we actually are, whatever that actually is. And I don't know, but that's where I'm playing. That's where I'm going. And that's where I'm taking this. So disidentifying to identify. So that's a fun place to play, right? So it's creation, but also sort of destruction. And we're going on that journey as well. So this will all unfold for me, questing the unknown, and it will become whatever it's going to become. But it definitely has this framework. So in one of my audios, you'll actually hear in an interview I just did with Jack Forum, I believe it's interview number 3. I know it's interview number 3 at this time. I only say that because I have some other interviews or recordings that I did that I might release that I did previous to that one. But I'm losing my train of thought. So I'm using it as a framework. So I do have this framework, and I love playing with this idea that I spoke with Jack about, where we look for and play with the infinite within the finite. So I'm going to explore what that means for a minute. So the finite being, I am in this body as I am. It has its physical constraints, but yet I seem to be able to do an infinite amount of things within this body. So I can move in different ways, an infinite amount of different ways and different patterns. I speak all of these different words using a very finite structure of grammar, for example. And there's all sorts of examples of this in our lives. And I seem to be able to continually create, to continue to go into that creation, go, nonstop. It always is coming through me. And so I love playing in that world and getting to know what that is, and then freeing that so that I'm at this place where I am no longer necessarily an obstacle to my own creation. And I don't know what that looks like or what that is, but that's where we're going. That's what we're doing. And so in a real true sense for me, this is a process of awakening and exploring whatever awakening is, because I don't know what that is either. And that's why this is so much fun, because it's so much madness in that regard. And it's just an exploration. So I have that idea of just, it's life wanting to experience more of the experience of life. It's as much as I've been able to figure out so far. And I don't know what one would do with that other than just play and allow for it to be an exploration into the unknown. So that's, for me, is a big part of what questing the unknown is and about, and that's what we'll be exploring here as well. Also, again, I have said this before, but it is really looking at like, what is possible? What do we also not know that we think we know? And can we unravel that and know it better and know it to be more true or not true? Can we sort of disidentify ourselves so that we can identify ourselves, so that we can connect and be living in this state of, I don't want to say flow, but truth. So we're connected to whatever that is that's coming through us, that's living us. So anyways, these are some of the ideas of what questing the unknown is for me. For you, it will be something different. And I hope it is something different or similar, because I want it to be your own experience. So everything has to be, for me, my own experience. And that's how I live. It's this sort of radical empiricism that William James talks about. So that is that, and I'll leave it there for now. And thank you for coming in on the journey with me on questing the unknown. I really want this to be of service and of value to you as much as it's going to be a joy for me. And we will play. We will go questing the unknown. We'll go into having conversations with each other and ourselves and others. And we'll continue to experience more of the experience of life. So I really also have to say this one thing: learn from everyone, follow no one, be your own revolution, your own evolution, with joy and compassion as always. dissent, if you will. I love that. I want you to be able to think for yourself and have your own experience. I don't want to tell you what to do, and I don't want to be told what to do. So in this regard, we'll just be friends like that. All right, much love, and I look forward to seeing you soon. You were born into a mystery, and now you are experiencing life. Questions. What is the nature of reality? Are you a creator, a co-creator, or are you just taking the ride? What is possible for you in this world, in this life? What does it mean to be alive, to experience more of the experience of life? What happens when you change the way that you think? What happens when you ask questions and go silent and just listen? What happens when you go play with the mystery of the universe? What happens when you go questing the unknown? You were born